Well, that was absolutely charming, and you heard it here first, folks. Seatbelt, their first ever original song. Can I hear it for them again? Yes. Thank you. Really bringing some good atmosphere here today. But to talk more about why we're here, I'll be welcoming Alex. Alex Wallace is a Queer Liberation Boorloo activist and a unionist. Their background includes field organising and digital organising in the Greens, the union movement and queer rights. Alex will be speaking about why this legislative reform needs to be urgent and the government must act on it. Please welcome Alex.
I'm going to be one of those people that likes to hold the mic. Is that a problem? I promise to put it back. Thanks, Oscar. And can I get another round of applause for Seatbelt? How good. I also want to acknowledge that we're meeting on the lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, particularly here on Walyup, and pay my respects to elders both past and present. This is stolen and unceded land. And the work of decolonisation is everybody's work.
Always was, always will be.
Aboriginal land. So, my name is Alex Wallace. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a queer, non-binary activist, unionist, former board member of Trans Folk, active Greens member, and you know what? I'm really bloody tired. I'm tired because we've been fighting for basic queer reforms in this state for over a decade. Law reform that has been promised to us time and time again by the WA Labor Party over the past 8 years. They've had so much time to deliver and resources to deliver these reforms over the past 3 years with their double majority and huge budget surpluses, and still they failed to do so.
Shame!
Important reforms like the Equal Opportunity Act. Who here is trans or non-binary and they haven't yet updated their legal gender? So all the hands around here, you're not currently protected by WA's anti-discrimination framework.
Shame!
That's not good enough. Just this week, we heard those awful comments by that councillor in Albany who said that pedophiles are welcome in the LGBTQI+ community. If only we had those anti-vilification laws that the WA Labor promised us that were in development 18 months ago. According to senior government sources, the government doesn't want to pick a fight with faith leaders, but I call bullshit on that. There are a number of faith leaders who support our community and always have. They're trying to save votes from right-wing religious minority who probably won't vote Labor anyway. More important reforms, like scrapping the Gender Reassignment Board, the worst gender recognition process in the country. We now have a situation where trans people, or at least binary trans people, are having to make the difficult decision of waiting for a better system and continue living with their legal documents existing outside of their reality, or the awful, mentally straining process of going through the board. And forget about it if you're non-binary, I suppose.
Shame.
Important reforms, such as banning conversion practices, where WA is reportedly becoming a safe haven for these awful and damaging practices. And despite Victoria passing gold standard legislation 3 years ago, when the WA government was asked why they're finding it difficult to define conversion practices in a statutory sense, the government told my friend Brad Pettit over here that they can't merely copy and paste other laws because they need to take in the WA context.
Shame.
Now, what about WA needs to be taken into account? The Victorian legislation says nothing about the location of Victoria in their definitions, so why? Now, I welcome last week's announcement of $900,000 for our peak queer organisations to deliver a whole of government LGBTQI+ strategy and peak LGBTQI+ organisation. I do, it's important and it is long overdue. But in the past week, when asked if the strategy will be supplemented with the urgent law reforms we need, Minister Beazley said she didn't want to preempt the strategy. So we could be waiting another 2 years for these law reforms? And then when she was challenged on that by Youth Jam Radio earlier this week, She walked those comments back, and when asked again, she said she would promote the views of the peak organisation in Cabinet. So now we have to wait for the peak organisation. Now, last I checked, we have some pretty good peak organisations who have been calling for these law reforms for years now. This is nothing new. We didn't just wake up one day and go, oh, you know what? We should get rid of that board, hey. We should do something about conversion practices. We should, maybe not be discriminated against. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? No, we've been calling for these things for over 10 years now. WA Labor has promised some of these reforms for at least 8 years and announced that they were acting on them over a year ago, in some cases, like the Equal Opportunity Act, 18 months ago. It's just absurd. Our community has been very clear with the WA Labor government for over a decade. We are here telling you here and now that our community is sick of being kicked to the curb, sick of being thrown to the side, and sick of being ignored while our community suffers around us. So to the Premier, I say this. You're not welcome to join us at Pride or celebrate with us while your government continues to be the leading cause of our oppression and discrimination in this state. Because come election time in 1 year on Wednesday, the LGBTQI+ community will remember where you put us. Thank you.